Let's us embark on a stunning 4K virtual walking tour of Skagway, Alaska, the historic gateway to the Klondike Gold Rush. Discover the charming streets, historic buildings, and breathtaking scenery of this Alaskan gem.
I'm just trying to get to town.
From the iconic White
Straight
Pass
through the tunnel as well. They'll put you on a shuttle, get you dropped
Yukon Route Railroad to the bustling waterfront, this immersive tour will transport you to the heart of Skagway. Don't miss the opportunity to explore this captivating destination from the comfort of your home. Skagway is not that big of a town, and there are a few walks you can do directly from the cruise ship. The cruise ship basically docks in downtown Skagway, so in some cases you can walk directly off the cruise ship and straight to downtown. In some cases, cruise ships are docked at a spot that requires a shuttle. The municipality and borough of Skagway is a first-class borough in Alaska on the Alaska Panhandle. As of the 2020 census, the population was 1,240, up from 968 in 2010. The population doubles in the summer tourist season in order to deal with the large number of summer tourists each year. Incorporated as a borough on June 25, 2007, it was previously a city, urban Skagway located at 59°2730 and 135°1850 W, in the Skagway-Yakutat-Angoon Census Area, now the Hunat-Angoon Census Area, Alaska. The most populated community is the census-designated place of Skagway. Skagway was an important port during the Klondike Gold Rush. The White Pass and Yukon Route narrow-gauge railroad, part of the area's mining past, is now in operation purely for the tourist trade and runs throughout the summer months. The port of Skagway is a popular stop for cruise ships, and the tourist trade is a big part of the business of Skagway. Skagway is also part of the setting for Jack London's book The Call of the Wild, Will Hobbs's book Jason's Gold, and for Joe Haldeman's novel, Guardian. The John Wayne film North to Alaska, 1960, was filmed nearby. The name Skagway, historically also spelled Skagway, is the English divergent of Shukai, a Tlingit idiom which figuratively refers to rough seas in the Taya Inlet, which are caused by strong north winds. Early Skagway. One prominent resident of early Skagway was William Billy Moore, a former steamboat captain. As a member of an 1887 boundary survey expedition, he had made the first recorded investigation of the pass over the Coast Mountains, which later became known as White Pass. He believed that gold lay in the Klondike because it had been found in similar mountain ranges in South America, Mexico, California, and British Columbia. In 1887, he and his son, J. Bernard Ben Moore, claimed a 160-acre, 650,000 square meters, homestead at the mouth of the Skagway River in Alaska. Moore settled in this area because he believed it provided the most direct route to the potential goldfields. They built a log cabin, a sawmill, and a wharf in anticipation of future gold prospectors passing through. The boundary between Canada and the United States along the Alaska Panhandle was only vaguely defined then, see Alaska Boundary Dispute. There were overlapping land claims from the United States' purchase of Alaska from Russia in 1867 and British claims along the coast. Canada requested a survey after British Columbia united with it in 1871, but the idea was rejected by the United States as being too costly, given the area's remoteness, sparse settlement, and limited economic or strategic interest. The Klondike Gold Rush changed everything. In 1896, gold was found in the Klondike region of Canada's Yukon territory. On July 29, 1897, the steamer Queen docked at Moore's Wharf with the first boatload of prospectors. More ships brought thousands of hopeful miners into the new town and prepared for the 500-mile journey to the gold fields in Canada. Moore was overrun by lot-jumping prospectors and had his land stolen from him and sold to others. The population of the general area increased enormously and reached 30,000, composed largely of American prospectors. Some realized how difficult the trek ahead would be en route to the gold fields, and chose to stay behind to supply goods and services to miners. Within weeks, stores, saloons, and offices lined the muddy streets of Skagway. The population was estimated at 8,000 residents during the spring of 1898, with approximately 1,000 prospective miners passing through town each week. By June 1898, with a population between 8,000 and 10,000, Skagway was the largest city in Alaska. Due to the sudden influx of visitors to Skagway, some town residents began offering miners transportation services to aid them in their journeys to the Yukon, often at highly inflated rates. A group of miners upset with the treatment organized a town council to help protect their interests. But as the members of the council moved north to try their own hands at mining, control of the town reverted to the more unscrupulous, most notably Jefferson Randolph Soapy Smith. Between 1897 and 1898, Skagway was a lawless town, described by one member of the Northwest Mounted Police as little better than a hell on earth. Fights, prostitutes, and liquor were ever present on Skagway's streets, and conman Soapy Smith, who had risen to considerable power, did little to stop it. Smith was a sophisticated swindler who liked to think of himself as a kind and generous benefactor to the needy. He was gracious to some, giving money to widows and halting lynchings, while simultaneously operating a ring of thieves who swindled prospectors with cards, dice, and the shell game. His telegraph office charged $5 to send a message anywhere in the world. Consequently, unknowing prospectors sent news to their families back home without realizing there was no telegraph service to or from Skagway until 1901. Smith also controlled a comprehensive spy network, a private militia called the Skagway Military Company, the town newspaper, the Deputy U.S. Marshal's office, and an array of thieves and con men who roamed about the town. Smith was finally shot and killed by Frank Reed and Jesse Murphy on July 8, 1898, in the famed shootout on Juneau Wharf. Smith managed to return fire. Some accounts claim the two men fired their weapons simultaneously, and Frank Reed died from his wounds 12 days later. Jesse Murphy is believed by some to be responsible for killing Smith, but the official coroner's inquest ruled that said Smith died by reason of pistol wound piercing the heart. The said wound was the result of a pistol shot fired by one Frank H. Reed. Smith and Reed are now interred at the Klondike Gold Rush Cemetery, also known as Skagway's Boot Hill. The prospector's journey began for many when they climbed the mountains over the White Pass above Skagway and onward across the Canada-US border to Bennett Lake, or one of its neighboring lakes, where they built barges and floated down the Yukon River to the gold fields around Dawson City. Others disembarked at nearby Dyea, northwest of Skagway, and crossed northward on the Chilkoot Pass, an existing Tlingit trade route to reach the lakes. The Dyea route fell out of favor when larger ships began to arrive, as its harbor was too shallow for them except at high tide. Officials in Canada began requiring that each prospector entering Canada on the north side of the White Pass bring with him 1 ton, 909 kilograms, of supplies, to ensure that he did not starve during the winter. This placed a large burden on the prospectors and the pack animals climbing the steep pass. In 1898, a 14-mile, steam-operated aerial tramway was constructed up the Skagway side of the White Pass, easing the burden of those prospectors who could afford the fee to use it. The Chilkoot Trail tramways also began to operate in the Chilkoot Pass above Dyea. In 1896, before the Klondike Gold Rush had begun, a group of investors saw an opportunity for a railroad over that route. It was not until May 1898 that the White Pass and Yukon route began laying narrow-gauge railroad tracks in Skagway. The railroad depot was constructed between September and December 1898. This destroyed the viability of Dyea, as Skagway had both the deep water port and the railroad. Construction of McCabe College, the first school in Alaska to offer a college preparatory high school curriculum, began in 1899. The school was completed in 1900. By 1899, the stream of gold seekers had diminished and Skagway's economy began to collapse. By 1900, when the railroad was completed, the gold rush was nearly over. In 1900, Skagway was incorporated as the first city in the Alaska Territory. Much of the history of Skagway was saved by early residents such as Martin Itchen, who ran a tour bus around the historical town. He was responsible for saving and maintaining the Gold Rush Cemetery from complete loss. He purchased Soapy Smith's saloon, Jeff Smith's parlor, from going the way of the wrecking ball, and placed many early artifacts of the city's early history inside and opened Skagway's first museum. In July 1923, President Warren G. Harding visited Skagway while on his historic tour through Alaska. Harding was the first president of the United States to travel and tour Alaska while in office. The Canal Pipeline was extended to Skagway in the 1940s, where oil was shipped in by sea and pumped north. Geography. Skagway. Skagway is located at 59°28'7" N 135°18'21" W, 59.468519, minus 135.305962. Skagway is located in a narrow glaciated valley at the head of the Tyia Inlet, the north end of the Lynn Canal, which is the most northern fjord on the Inside Passage on the south coast of Alaska. It is in the Alaska Panhandle 90 miles northwest of Juneau, Alaska's capital city. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the borough has a total area of 464 square miles, 1,200 square kilometers, of which 452 square miles, 1,170 square kilometers, is land and 12 square miles, 31 square kilometers, 2.5%, is water. It is currently the smallest borough in Alaska, having taken the title away from Bristol Bay Borough at its creation. Climate. Skagway has a humid continental climate, Köppen DSB. It is in the rain shadow of the coastal mountains, and though not as pronounced as the rain shadow in south-central Alaska in the valley of the Susitna River, this still allows it to receive only half as much precipitation as Juneau and only a sixth as much as Yakutat. Although winters are too cold for the classification, precipitation patterns resemble a Mediterranean climate due to the summer precipitation minimum. The highest temperature recorded in Skagway is 92 degrees Fahrenheit or 33.3 degrees Celsius in 3 separate years, most recently in 2019, and the lowest is minus 24 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 31.1 degrees Celsius on February 2, 1947. North winds prevail at Skagway from November to March. South winds prevail from April to October. Personal income. The median income for a household in the city was $49,375, and the median income for a family was $62,188. Males had a median income of $44,583 versus $30,956 for females. The per capita income for the city was $27,700. About 1% of families and 3.7% of the population were below the poverty line, including none of those under age 18 and 4.5% of those aged 65 or over. Tourism. There are visitors to the Klondike Gold Rush National Historical Park and White Pass and Chilkoot trails. Skagway has a historical district of about 100 buildings from the Gold Rush era. It receives about 1 million tourists annually, most of whom, about 3/4, come on cruise ships. The White Pass and Yukon route operates its narrow-gauge train around Skagway during the summer months, primarily for tourists. The WPYR also ships copper ore from the interior. The Days of '98 show is performed in Skagway's Fraternal Order of Eagles Hall. Transportation. Skagway is one of 3 southeast Alaskan communities that are connected to the road system. Skagway's connection is via the Klondike Highway, completed in 1978. This allows access to the lower 48, Whitehorse, Yukon, northern British Columbia, and the Alaska Highway. This also makes Skagway an important port of call for the Alaska Marine Highway, Alaska's ferry system, and serves as the northern terminus of the important and heavily used Lynn Canal corridor. The other southeast Alaskan communities with road access are Haines and Hyder. The White Pass and Yukon route is a railway that formerly linked Whitehorse, Yukon in Canada to Skagway, the railway's southernmost terminus. Today, when trains travel several times a week from May through September from Skagway to the small community of Carcross, approximately 45 miles south/southwest of Whitehorse. There, passengers, mostly tourists, can make connections via bus to Whitehorse. Skagway Airport receives service from 2 bush carriers, Alaska Seaplanes, and air excursions. Health care. Skagway is served by Dahl Memorial Clinic, the only primary health clinic in the area. The facility is usually staffed by 3 advanced nurse practitioners and 3 medical assistants, and is open Monday through Friday year-round with limited Saturday hours during summer. The clinic also operates after hours in emergency situations. The borough is also served 24/7 by local EMS. Individuals in need of dire medical attention are transported by air via helicopter or air ambulance to Bartlett Regional Hospital in Juneau, an approximately 45-minute flight. Whitehorse General Hospital in Whitehorse, Yukon is the nearest hospital to Skagway that is accessible by road, approximately a 2-hour drive.
parked at Skagway, and I decided to show you this way by the ramp. This is very beautiful.